I don't know whether the game Assassin's Creed should have him as the main character or it should have somebody else as main character. Quite frankly, I don't care.
But you have nothing to do with it.
Nothing to do with it.
You receive no royalties
don't
or
attack
anything.
Yasuke. No, it's nothing to do. Though my book's starting to sell well again, which is
That's
nice.
good.
Yeah,
That's good.
nice.
I remember the first photos of Assassin's Creed Shadows, and I thought, finally, an AC game in Japan. That's what's up, tubes. Let's go! We're gonna be ninjas. Then months later, or was it a year later, they showed me a black man. A black samurai.
What?
My reaction was the same as that newscaster.
The f is that? Shit!
Assassin's Creed Shadows should have been one of the most anticipated games of this generation. In the absence of games like Way of the Samurai and Tenchu Stealth Assassins, Assassin's Creed Shadows could put out a timeless classic on the level of Black Flag, maybe even creating a spin-off series that could extend the life of this already tired franchise.
Computer says no.
The idea of an Assassin's Creed in feudal Japan has been a dream of fans ever since the first Assassin's Creed, when it launched back in 1983. But instead, Assassin's Creed Shadows will be a hotly debated game, till it's inevitably forgotten, and only remembered when another developer does something stupid for virtue signaling points. The trailer dropped back in May 15th, Yasuke, the Black Samurai, but a romanticized version of him that didn't match the historical records of his life, because there's like literally 3 pages of historical records on the dude, but whatever. Now, depending on who you ask and which version of Wikipedia you are looking at said time, he was a big player in feudal Japan. Nobunaga loved him. That's right, the man that they called the Demon King was a huge proponent of DEI.
Stop him!
In fact, there was a less than civil war brewing between editors on said Wikipedia page. One man is fighting a holy war against communist revisionists to prevent Yasuke from becoming progressive propaganda. Hundreds of editors are now attacking Wikipedia to alter history, ensuring that Assassin's Creed Shadow doesn't receive too many blows. This is better than paying $70 for Ubisoft. That's right, we're now in an information war over people who lived 500 years ago. Welcome to the fall of an empire.
Serious crap! I'm sick of being social engineered. It's not funny!
It's pretty much on brand, really, when you think about it. Because Black Twitter was posting AI photos of this dude for at least 6 months before this game trailer dropped.
Black Samurai in Japan, the mainstream media will never show you. Your comments on this?
Yes, modern mainstream media that has spent the better part of the last 4 years pushing diversity, equity, and inclusion doesn't want you to see an AI-generated image of a black samurai.
Remember when Google AI made everyone a minority? The Asian woman that was an SS officer was particularly grievous.
To be fair, this is par for the course when it comes to Assassin's Creed games. They tend to change elements of history to make it seem like recorded history was filtered through the lens of the Templars. But if we want to split hairs, this is the first Assassin's Creed game to feature protagonists not from the region or the race. And on top of that, it's the first time that an actual historical figure was used as a playable character. So this is an issue that was plaguing most gamers. And the added fact that Ubisoft claimed that Assassin's Creed Shadows is an accurate depiction of history. That's when shit really hit the fan. Gaming journalists with short hair and ugly tattoos with horrible personalities would have you think only racist white men didn't like the idea. But it seemed that the Japanese weren't into this either, judging by the comments left behind. Did I mention an Asian dude that got banned on Reddit for wrongthink?
Assassin's Creed Shadows official cinema world premiere trailer. Any other Asian people disappointed that we don't get an Asian main character?
Hello, you've been permanently banned from participating in RPS5 because your comment violates this community's rules. You won't ever be able to post a comment ever again because you're a big fat bigot. You're a terrible human. You make little angel babies cry. If you have questions regarding your ban, you can contact the moderator and they'll tell you to go f*** yourself.
You stupid mother.
The gameplay trailer shown at Ubisoft Forward was also met with derision because it looked like raw dog shit.
Oh, my God. Stu.
The reason I'm angry is because I crossed a line that Japanese people shouldn't cross. Accurate to historical facts, this statement is the worst. Even though it is raining, rice bags are left on the streets. After that, an old woman appears who laments that the tax collection is too strict. But did the developer team know that at the time, taxes were collected in rice?
No, they didn't know, and neither did I.
Rice must be completely dried or it will go bad. Would you leave your banknotes in your wallet on the street in the rain?
I was going to handle that.
Too slow.
It's over. We are screwed.
A day before Assassin's Creed Shadows trailer launched on May 15th, someone who allegedly worked for Ubisoft on the original concept for said game posted about it.
Well, I've already talked about this before, but I'll just go to the key parts.
The main conflict about the Sword of Eden, aka Excalibur, Hanjo Masamune, Genghis Khan's sword, etc., and how it had given its latest wielder, Oda Nobunaga, an unfair advantage in his conquest of Japan. After Nobunaga is assassinated by Hayatoro Hanzo, Taka became part of the Brotherhood and under Hanzo is trained as an assassin/shinobi. The Brotherhood try to transport the recovered sword out of Japan, but are bested by Jitsu, Templars, ships, and it is lost.
The original storyline could have had a game that tied into ancient China and circles back to Japan again when Hideyoshi became the ruler of Japan after Oda Nobunaga. Then later in life, Hideyoshi invades Korea, and you could say the Templars took the sword there. And if I recall correctly, the Chinese helped the Koreans push the Japanese out. So it all sort of whips back. This is the perfect groundwork for a trilogy of games. But no, we have a Black Samurai.
It's wonderful, isn't it? Wonderful.
Locales that the series has had. What finally made this the right time? How did the team land on this time and place in the first place?
It's really the amount of enthusiasm from the community, and then it's been this great chemistry with the passion and the depth team as well. Like everybody's so excited about the setting. I think, we have a lot of progress in recent years that allowed us in 2020 to make the decision to take the deep dive into feudal Japan and get to know the setting.
I know people want to write this off as bigoted or conspiracy theory, but there is no denying that the tidal wave of diversity, equity, and inclusion that followed the Summer of Love was just massive. Yes, it existed before, but after 2020, it ramped up times 10. That's why we have these ESG scores for companies, consultant groups like Sweet Baby, and all manner of needless bureaucracy in gaming now. That has made everything so much worse and less enjoyable. It doesn't make any sense.
Actually, was just sort of full of opportunities for the writing team because we had very few tasks to work with. But what we had was such a terrific fit, and then there was this great opportunity to go in and start weaving the facts into the story that we then told.
Which made him a great character, meaning that they could do anything they wanted without being tied down to historical facts. Women in modern entertainment love taking established lore or history and taking a hot wet piss on it. Having a blank slate like Yasuke is even better because no one can call you out about it. Until now. But if you go back 2 months ago in an interview with IGN, they made it seem like they knew a lot more than they actually did about Yasuke. Also keep in mind that the IGN interview was filmed before they got fact-checked to death by the internet and the Japanese people.
Was nothing of the sea.
He was likely born in Mozambique, likely stolen as a child by the Portuguese, brought to Japan later in 1579 in their service. Also, Yasuke is somebody who is going to tie together many of the most powerful figures in our era, so he really is a great point of entry to this as well, with Oda Nobunaga on one side, the daimyo that he serves as a samurai, and on the other side, the Portuguese that he arrives with. He really does a lovely job of connecting connecting the dots historically, what we know factually, and then narratively, we had so much fun imagining the kind of person who would have this trajectory.
Yasuke has been featured in many creative writings and media so far. There's like a long list of novels, TV series, dramas that have been inspired by him. Yeah, I think people in Japan are really embracing him as a character, and we really like to, see him representing the samurai spirit.
No.
People in Japan are embracing him as a character. The backlash would say otherwise.
I guess all those Japanese songs making fun of Yasuke were just a fever dream.
Am I so out of touch? No, it's the children who are wrong.
By May 17th, it was clear the internet wasn't in love with the new Assassin's Creed. So gaming media sprang into action to tell you that you were a massive bigot. IGN also hopped in.
Assassin's Creed Shadows is under fire for featuring a black samurai protagonist. But let's not pretend we suddenly care deeply about Asian representation. While it's a known issue that Asian representation in Western games is severely lacking, I find it hypocritical and laughable that we're only talking about the need for Asian protagonists now that it's been revealed that Assassin's Creed Shadows will star a black samurai. This misses the forest for the trees. While I am always advocating for more Asian men in AAA games, I'll be the first to say that better representation isn't going to be found in yet another samurai hero.
The samurai is iconic to Japanese history. The closest thing we have to samurai here in America were cowboys of the Wild West. If Rockstar said tomorrow Red Dead Redemption 3 was dropping, people would cheer. Take it on another level. Kurosawa films. His most popular films that were worldwide hits were all samurai films. And yet again, think about it. A lot of famous westerns were based on Kurosawa's samurai films. Star Wars, based on a Kurosawa films. To sit here and downplay the absolute influence of Japan, including samurai culture, in this manner is just absolutely ridiculous.
It figures an IGN journalist would spin a Japanese lead in a samurai film as a tired trope, while also saying that there needs to be more Asian leads in Western games.
Enough with the samurais. Asian samurai protagonists are a path already well trodden. There's Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, Katana Zero, Like a Dragon, Ishin, Samurai Warrior, Rise of the Ronin, Animusha, Way of the Samurai 2, Ghost of Tsushima. There's also my personal favorite, Muramasa, the Demon Blade. I can go on, so it's difficult to come to any other conclusion than that the limited imagination of AAA game development can only envision Asian heroes when they wield katanas or ninja stars.
Well, what do you want them to do? Make a game called Salaryman? They spend their entire life working at one company and barely seeing their kids?
If I want to see an Asian samurai protagonist, I don't have to look very hard.
I think the fact that it's a Ubisoft game and it's riddled with bugs, bad game mechanics, a UI that is cluttered to the point of absolute absurdity, not to mention the fact they nickel and dime you and constantly have a pop-up trying to sell you something.
Look what the homosexuals have done to me.
Also, to even pretend that this would be close to the depth of a Way of the Samurai game is laughable. Or have tight gameplay like Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. I feel like this dude literally just Googled samurai games and used them as examples. Considering he used Way of the Samurai 1 and 2, when everybody knows it got good at 3 and 4. May 22nd, Assassin's Creed Shadows production manager posted this tweet and then immediately deleted it.
Yas is such a badass. Can't wait for you to see his soft romantic side though. Ooh. The strength of Yasuke is not to be underestimated. Meet the samurai of legend in full armor. Delicious.
If you ever needed proof that the people making these games no longer know what the hell normal gamers want, that aren't gooners on Twitter with a bio that's longer than a description for a prescription, then this is it.
This is the first indication of the romance system that was later revealed to be LGBTQ friendly.
Thank God.
Assassin's Creed Shadow, LGBTQ romance options slammed by fans. Those bigots.
I was iffy on the game before. They really brought me back with the bisexual, gender-diverse black samurai set in feudal Japan.
This is fine.
Even though Assassin's Creed Mirage was largely regarded as a return to form, it still felt a little too familiar in places. The new Ubisoft installment looks set to change this by introducing a multitude of romance options. However, not all fans are pleased. Claims of wokeness, as well as review bombing. Ignore the discourse, just watch the Assassin's Creed trailer.
Which was dog shit. The gameplay looks kind of weak. The whole thing is just, it is what it is. It's Assassin's Creed. It has no soul.
This would explain why Sachi Smithori, author of Tales of Idolized Boys, is in the mix. Odds are to help them develop storylines for the LGBTQ romance. Ever since the success of Witcher 3, Ubisoft has been trying like hell to emulate that game since Origins.
Romantically, they will also attract and be attracted to different types of people. Through the pair, players will get to experience a multitude of relationships.
Yes, I know that homosexuality was encouraged among the samurai class. I'm just being facetious. That was during the Tokugawa period of Japan, and I'm 100% sure Yasuke was long gone by then. Whatever, none of this matters, because it's all speculation. Somebody might go,
well, they say Oda Nobunaga preferred to be with men.
But does that make Yasuke a pillow biter?
Stop him!
At this point, public opinion started to unravel for the game, leading to Ubisoft stock dropping due to poor reception, literally the day after the trailer hit. That's real fast. Then, Twitter started to take apart the game as a whole. That's when it got real bad. Design choices that were not only wrong, but highly inaccurate.
Why the rice growing while sakura are in bloom? Laughing my ass off. Also, those are ripe permissions in baskets, which makes 0 sense. That would make it like October in Japan. Ubisoft sent special Assassin's Creed statues to streamers in Japan. It did not go well. Mistakes were made.
Frankly, the Japanese market was not singing the praises of this game.
For the first time, I understood what cultural appropriation was. Up until now, the main characters have been original local races or ethnicity groups. But why do they become different races when it comes to Japan?
The gamer launched an article and gets bodied by its own commenters. The long and the short of the article is, everyone not in love with Assassin's Creed Origin or questioning it is pretty much racist. That's the narrative they're running with.
Interviews, hard-hitting journalism.
They wouldn't want an African Assassin's Creed either. People are suggesting that an African Assassin's Creed would be a better place for Yasuke. The go-to gotcha for the set it in Africa debate is the fact that we've already had an Assassin's Creed in Africa of Origins taking place in Egypt. It's not that Yasuke is the wrong place, it's that he's there at all.
Yes, that's right. We're all massive bigots. I'm so sick of gaming, bro. Do yourself a favor, get a different hobby. Gaming is becoming too politically stupid.
Basically, it goes on and on. The people completely cooked the dude, but I doubt it really mattered. Then, Famitsu censored an interview with Ubisoft devs.
Assassin's Creed Shadow developers confess their intentions of finding a non-Japanese character to fit the Japanese period. The article is 100% real and came from a now deleted paragraph from Famitsu. For Yasuke, we were first looking for our samurai, someone who could be our non-Japanese eyes through. This is because we thought from the beginning the story of the Portuguese arrival would be a very good way to tell the crisis in Japan.
I see what they were trying to do here, but overall it's stupid. Most people enjoy Japanese culture and want to immerse themselves in the game world. This is why Way of the Samurai is such a legendary status. Why make characters be outsiders' eyes? Have they not seen the wild success of Yakuza? Whoever pitched this idea is a horse's ass. Oh wait, the lead writer's a woman.
It is crazy. We say to give a woman power is like to give a gun to a monkey. We have stopped doing that ever since the 1999 Astana Zoo massacre.
The lead weapons designer, CD Projekt Red, came out in solidarity with the criticism most gamers have for Assassin's Creed Shadows.
He's a monster.
The concerns and criticism around Assassin's Creed Shadows are valid, and I personally think it might disrespect Japanese culture with the provided historical inaccuracies, people, especially the Japanese people, have a full right to oppose trends like this.
He was then later bullied into submission by Twitter freaks and forced to give an apology for his opinions. And they weren't even evil or mean-spirited or racist or anything. I guess seeing the validity in the gaming community's opinion on a video game being a game developer is like being a Nazi sympathizer in the 1940s in today's very mixed up weird world where a nuclear family and marriage is counterculture.
I noticed criticism regarding my recent comments about Assassin's Creed Shadow. After reflecting on it and reading your responses and retweets, I realized I owe you an apology.
For what? You literally gave your opinion on something. You don't owe anyone an apology because you didn't do anything to anyone personally.
First of all, I acknowledge that I am not qualified to share statements or discuss such topics. Your feedback has highlighted the importance of being more informed and respectful of my opinions.
This doesn't make any sense, but he has to debase himself on the altar of progressivism.
It has also shown me that we should be more open to new ideas and not restrict ourselves too much while creating new worlds. We all draw inspiration from a wide range of media, and that's great. I appreciate your patience and understanding. I've learned something valuable and will strive to do better in the future. I'm looking forward to the next AC game. The setting intrigues me a lot.
Take that, white man. You aren't qualified to have a non-politically correct thought in your head. Now praise Assassin's Creed Shadows, you filthy fucking bigot. June 13th, IGN Japan launched an interview video with Brooke, and the reception on both YouTube and Twitter was terrible. Some Japanese viewers on YouTube reported the video for hate speech. Here are some choice tweets gathered by
Package Girl. The dangerous idea is that we have filled in the gaps in history with our own story. Yubis are samurai, Yasuke is not a samurai. And although he was supposed to have been loved by the people of Fukujiyama for governing the castle town well, a recent gameplay video showed the common people being oppressed in the castle town. Assassin's Creed is set in Japan's Azuchi Momoyama period, and I'm surprised that the film fails to anticipate the shockwaves that will result from making Yasuke, who isn't even in textbooks, a legendary samurai, and having him kill Japanese people instead of the actual Japanese people themselves.
You see what happens, Larry, when you a stranger in the act?
Kenji no Gaijin. As in all things linked to Gamergate 2, or the pushback on DEI, whatever people want to call this stupid timeline we're in, you'll find people trying to take advantage of said moments for whatever reason. On that note, subscribe to my channel and buy my book. Then, pantsu, misite morate mahoroshi desu ka?
Not a bad deal if I say so myself.
We have Kenji, who hit the public radar during the AC discourse.
So, the official Assassin's Creed X page blocked me for speaking the truth. All I've been saying is that Yasuke is not a samurai. There is nothing written anywhere that says he definitely was a samurai, and they know that. So they blocked me for continuing to prove it.
This led to many people retweeting him and taking him at face value. This is Twitter after all. This sort of stuff happens all the time. While everyone is scrambling for information to use in a video, or to get clicks, or to generate traffic to the Twitter page. It's kind of par for the course.
Smash JT. Not a great look, Ubisoft.
You might remember Smash JT for fighting with Alyssa Mercante. She totally doxed his wife, I think, or something like that. She went really over the line, but she's a Kotaku journalist. You expect that from them at this point.
The jokes write themselves. The official Assassin's Creed account blocked by a Japanese scholar for saying Yasuke was not a samurai. He has an MA education from the University of Tokyo, with a specialization in this period of history. At some point, Kenji was questioned by Nihojin about his authenticity, and it didn't go well for our little Larper. That is a part of all of this that I take grievance with, that they went for woke points instead of letting me play as a Japanese man in a game set in my own country. You're not Japanese, you're Yanshi.
Yanshi means, I think like a couple generations off of a Japanese immigrant, or someone who's descended from someone from Japan, but they don't live in Japan themselves.
I am Japanese, you are baka. That's not how you use baka in a sentence, you're definitely Yanshi. LOL, you can use baka wherever in a sentence, or would you rather me just call you a fool in English? No, you can't, because that's not how the language works. If you weren't some Yanshi or Gaijin, you'd know this. Google Translate! Japanese does not read this way. Illiterate Gaijin clown.
This, of course, was used by progs to highlight everyone who thinks that Assassin's Creed Shadows isn't fantastic as a grifter. Great. Japanese scholar you got there, Grums. Love seeing him complain about his president, Joe Pfeifen. Joe Pfeifen is a worthless piece of utter shit. He's senile and he is a total and complete degenerate. He is ruining our once great nation and the crutch just think it's swell. You won't believe who ran with this unverified tweet. Drumroll. Upon finding out that the guy was a Larper, Grums confronted him.
So it's been making the rounds, Assassin's Creed CEO main claim, blah, blah, blah.
Basically, Kenji reached out to him and said that it wasn't important who he was. So he was solidified as a faker. After that, Kenji took his profile and protected all of his tweets. He will never be seen again. Sayonara, Kosuyaro. Hijoni se kakana gemu. June 10th, Ubisoft's very accurate game was caught using the flag of the Japanese reenactment group from the Sekigahara Rifle Corps.
I think it's called that. My Japanese is really bad. I watch anime.
As time unfolds, the more the game seems like it was made by a bunch of incompetent people so focused on a black samurai that everything else fell by the wayside.
I heard a little bit about it, but it seems that the Sekigahara Rifle Corps was used as a background for the concept art in Assassin's Creed Shadow. I actually took a look at it, and when I zoomed in, I could definitely see the black flag we use. Honestly, I'm not sure how to react. The issue with the Sekigahara Riflemen was the unauthorized use of the black flag. But isn't the fabrication of history a separate issue? Also, I think the design of the flag would have been impossible at the time, but I do not know if the Sekigahara Rifle Corps didn't exist.
かと言いますと、こちらなんですね。このページがですね、関ヶ原観光ガイドさん。ここにね、掲載されているんですが、関ヶ原鉄砲隊とありますね。平成元年から古戦場の街づくりとして行われてきた古戦場関ヶ原フェスティバルにおいて、大阪城鉄砲隊を中心とした各地の鉄砲隊の皆さんにご参加いただき、火縄銃の公開演舞を行ってきました。西暦2000年の関ヶ原
Basically, to break it down, because there's a whole lot here, he becomes a registered user of Ubisoft's website to get in touch with Ubisoft Japan to let them know that they are using the Sekigahara Rifle Corps insignias and such, right? And when Matchlock finally gets in touch with Ubisoft later in the week, I don't know what was said, and I'll admit that my eyes started to hurt from combing over walls of text. Yeben Nisadair commented on the situation when Matchlock said that the game was a work of fiction and it doesn't really matter when it came to Yasuke and the rest.
The Romance of the Three Kingdoms series were originally made as fantasy, and the production company made that clear, so there was no outrage. The problem with this one is that the production company announced that it was based on a historical fact, and that Yasuke was a hero who saved the people from Japanese oppression. If the production company had announced from the beginning that it was fiction and fantasy, there would have not been an outrage. I don't think that there was any outrage, and because it caused an uproar in Japan, they took back what they said was historical fact and started calling it fiction. But on the other hand, they announced to the world that it's historical fact and Yasuke was the strongest samurai of the Sengoku period, respected by the Japanese. That's the problem. Lastly, the game, it is announced that decapitation is the historical fact of Japan. And in the gameplay video released by the manufacturer, Yasuke goes around decapitating and crushing the heads of all the peasants and characters that appear in the game. I also think that it's problematic that the member of the Sengoku Rifle Corps may be treated the same way by Yasuke in the game. Sorry for the long post.
Good God Almighty.
A month after the flag was discovered to be used in Ubisoft's art, they issued an apology.
Ubisoft apologizes for using real-life reenactment group's flag in Assassin's Creed Shadows concept art without permission. The Sekigahara flag will no longer be used in promotional materials, but it will still appear in collector's edition art books.
Ubisoft also made a public apology on Japanese Twitter, and then got roasted yet again. In this image, 404 calls them out for copying and pasting concept art, and this is actually wild. If you take a good look at it, it genuinely looks like they just used Photoshop and got the cutout tool and just dragged it on the concept art and probably put over like a paint filter. This is proof Ubisoft may have actually scrapped the original Assassin's Creed set in Japan to do Shadows, and now they were just scrambling to get ideas out. Lockley no Jokyo. There are no brakes on the crazy train. And when equity and inclusion are involved, no checks and balances either. So long as it makes you feel good and you're teaching those chuds a lesson. The more press Assassin's Creed got, the more the Japanese started to pay attention. And on June 8th, a YouTube channel exposed Thomas Lockley for allegedly fabricating stories about Yasuke to sell books. The entire Yasuke fanfiction story was fabricated by a white man named Thomas Lockley. Using fake Wikipedia sources, he even deceived Japanese people. Everything you read about Yasuke is fake, imposed by white liberals in 2024. They erased history on Wikipedia for a game. But it's actually deeper than that.
Began with Wikipedia. A lot of the stuff you see on Twitter, YouTube, and online articles actually comes from Wikipedia, but a lot of that information was wrong. It all goes back to October 22, 2012. Someone added a sentence to Wikipedia that said, when Nobunaga was convinced that this person really had dark skin, he valued him highly, named him Yasuke, and kept him close. This sentence wasn't true and caused a lot of confusion. Then on June 14, 2013, someone changed the Wikipedia article again. It now said he was officially made a Bushi warrior and kept close. This change made people think that Yasuke had become a samurai, and that's how the legend of Yasuke, the Black Samurai, was born. The next day, on June 15, another line was added to the Wikipedia article. It said, Nobunaga liked Yasuke so much that he intended to make him a lord in the future. In just one day, Yasuke had been promoted to a future lord, but this was completely false. So, from 2012 to 2024, Yasuke was indeed considered a samurai on the internet. Then something interesting happened. On January 25, 2017, Thomas Lockley, an associate professor at Nihon University, published a book called Nobunaga and Yasuke. Later, on May 2, 2019, the same author released Yasuke, the true story of the legendary African samurai. First foreign-born samurai, and his astonishing journey from Northeast Africa to the heights of Japanese society. This book was actually co-authored by Lockley and another writer. It's a 400-page novel, and most of it is fiction. After investigating, they realized that Thomas Lockley was just making things up. And where did Thomas Lockley, who wrote the novel, learn about Yasuke? From none other.
I asked a contact in Japan to check out this video and make sure that the translations were correct and it wasn't just somebody doing a voiceover saying whatever the hell they wanted to. And indeed, they seem to be genuine. The rabbit hole gets deeper, by the way.
It was discovered that Thomas Lockley, associate professor of law in Nihon University, fabricated a story on Wikipedia that Yasuke was a samurai. The Thomas Lockley Yasuke historian has deleted his Facebook page. The Japanese have been hammering the fact checks on Thomas Lockley, historian, widely cited by other people, books and official sources for the proof that Yasuke was a samurai. They say he is a fraud and have found out that he has been editing Wikipedia under the alias of Totoro-tam to promote his books and papers. Just to be clear, Ubisoft decided to score some DEI points on making a game about a black samurai, but the historic research they based their entire premise on turns out to be fraudulent. 1, that's hilarious. 2, a reoccurring theme for DEI. No, it has always been fake. I can't believe that his books were ever published here. It's 99% speculation, 1% fact. Being generous. There are less than 3 full pages of Yasuke ever written in historical documents, but he made 300 pages of a book. Laughable.
That's right. Ubisoft based their game on a total fanfiction, allegedly. The whole game seems like it's unraveling at the seams, and it hasn't even launched yet. From the terrible price points to the historical facts that now seem to be based on whatever some dude wanted to say at the time. Oh well, it sucks to suck. But the funniest part is, this is an edit. As of today, July 19th, it's gaining way more traction in Japan, the Thomas Lockley situation. By the time I edit this, I might not have a translation in time for all that's going on.
Thomas Lockley at Nihon University falsified English Wikipedia page by quoting his own book before it was released, and sent out a false image of Yasuke as an African samurai to the world. This was discovered by the political correctness community, and the false history of Japan is being created and spread around the world in order to dilute the guilt of history of racial discrimination by white people. This is the essence of the problem. It is not about the accuracy or the depiction of Japan by the French game company, tainted by political correctness. Let's see, the Assassin's Creed Shadow issue with Yasuke and the discredited historian Thomas Lockley have exploded into potential diplomatic incident. Letters are being sent with questions to the Japanese Ministry of Education, Culture, Sports, Science, Technology, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Economy, Trade, and Industry. While the government have not taken action yet, they are waiting for the final release of the game to decide, and there is a mounting pressure in Japan to address the issue with Ubisoft portraying false information to Japanese children.
This video that's making the rounds on Twitter, I actually got a translation for, a little bit more accurate. Apparently the people in Japan didn't just complain about it online, but they also reported it to the big parts of the government. As we already said, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Education, you get it. The Japanese government is probably going to do nothing about this because they said, yeah, dude, well, it's just a video game. But this has been reported to the government so much that the government can't just play dumb and act like they don't know people are pissed off about this. The NHK, which is PBS of Japan, is going to make a documentary about Thomas Lockley. So that's the next level thing. People are apparently not just pissed off about Yasuke's false history, but Ubisoft also used a lot of stuff without permission. The Japanese people associating this with another form of Asian hate. So it wasn't just one random Japanese guy reporting the videos about Assassin's Creed as hate speech. It's a lot of them. Thomas Lockley's book, the Japanese version, was written as a piece of fiction based on history, but all English versions of the book say that it's based on real Japanese history, and that's where things get. This whole video is basically about how Thomas Lockley took bits of Yasuke's history that were real and just made up 90% of the story. The Japanese are super pissed, and I quote, pissed enough to complain to the government. The Japanese government doesn't seem to want to do anything about it, but the Japanese people are going to keep complaining till something happens. And that was the information I got from someone living in Japan that could give me the rundown on what's actually going on. So this is escalating, but as my associate in Japan says, most likely the Japanese government isn't going to do anything realistically. Damn! On June 20th, the Japanese historian Hirayama Yu came out to argue that Yasuke was a samurai after Thomas Lockley was then disgraced and deleted off his social media. Many on the opposite end of the Yasuke drama saw this as a major victory and a nail in the coffin for the argument. Some journalism pages ran the story within hours of the tweets going live.
Japanese historian Hirayama Yu, who has written a dozen books on the Sengoku period and served as a historical advisor for movies and dramas set in the time period, is going viral after weighing in on the Yasuke controversy, arguing that Yasuke was a samurai.
The long and the short of it is that Nobunaga did give him a stipend, a residence, and a sword. Even if it was a short sword, low-class servants were not allowed to carry swords. He also carried stuff for Nobunaga. Yada yada yada, right? The historian does make a point of talking about Hideyoshi, because at the time Nobunaga would take the peasant class and elevate them to samurai. This is why a lot of people loved him when it came to working for him. Like, you could earn a name, title, and all the other stuff under Nobunaga. But the weird thing is, even when I looked into Japanese history for my own interest, I never heard of Yasuke before, but that's not about me. Within 24 hours, Hirayama was being challenged by not only distressed Twitter users, but the Japanese themselves. It later came to light that he had ties to BlackRock, Vanguard, etc. And you know what goes on with them as of late.
Well, behaviors are going to have to change, and this is one thing we're asking companies. You have to force behaviors, and at BlackRock we are forcing behaviors. 54% of the incoming class are women. We added 4 more points in terms of diverse employment this year, and what we are doing internally is, if you don't achieve these levels of impact, your compensation could be impacted. Okay,
we're doing the same thing.
And so it's just you have to force behaviors.
On top of that, he also has ties to the Japanese Communist Party, and he is supposedly working for a company that receives funds from Ubisoft, allegedly.
He is partnered with Pony Inc., blah blah blah, a music and entertainment company to promote Japanese culture through entertainment, and this is also a PR media site trying to globalize to the West.
People are saying that he would have an incentive to push this message. At this point, there's a crazy amount of stuff to go through at this side of the story, and I'll leave that up to you to come up with your own opinions, because frankly, most of this video probably has been slightly biased, which wasn't my goal. I'm just trying to give you the news, you figure out what you care about or like yourself, children. PC Gamer posted an article about Ubisoft devs being upset with Elon Musk over a tweet. Okay, this one's gonna be stupid.
Assassin's Creed Shadows executive producer says Elon Musk is just feeding hatred with his reaction to the game's black protagonist.
We all know that Assassin's Creed games are like Call of Duty. They're annual releases. They're absolutely soulless and devoid of anything meaningful or impactful. If you've played one, you've probably played them all at this point. Their souls are weighed down by equity amaro.
That tweet generated emotions that the first thing I wanted to do was go back on X. I had deleted X and just tweet back. And I took a step back. I have a mindfulness app on my phone, and I did a bit of mindfulness to try and explore the emotions that this tweet created.
DEI kills art. Where's Elon Musk wrong? We haven't had an amazing game in years. If it isn't Japanese, it's probably trash. That's where we are now.
For me, Elon, it's sad. He's just feeding hatred. I had a lot of 3-word replies that came to mind, but he didn't reply to Musk. By attacking someone like Elon, I will not convince people about our point of view as a team.
Alright, I'm not even going to bother talking about the change.org petition that some people are saying is genuine, while other people are saying it was started by 2 bald white guys that are LARPing. I'm just going to jump to The Guardian, my favorite publication for wild takes.
The disturbing online misogyny of Gamergate has returned, if it ever went away. While some of their language has changed, the sentiment of the latest aggressive movement is just as distressing. It's time for the game industry to stand up.
And do what? We're gonna act like the people who aren't interested in Assassin's Creed Shadow are the lowest of the low and the gaming industry needs to stand up against them? That would literally be like McDonald's needs to take a stand against obese people.
A few months ago, I wrote about a consulting agency, Sweet Baby Inc., that founded itself at the center of the conspiracy theory. Aggravated gamers on Steam forums had erroneously concluded that this small agency was somehow mandating the inclusion of more diverse characters in games. Depressingly but unsurprisingly, the result was a tremendous amount of targeted harassment towards the people who work at Sweet Baby and every journalist who reported on it, particularly the women.
Okay, this once again is a lovely glossing over of what actually happened. Why? You know what? To hell with this, Kenji. I'll do a whole video on this later. Not today. Not today. This is already like a 40-minute video. On July 23rd, Ubisoft put out a public apology to all of Japan. How they didn't see this backlash coming is a clear sign that a liberal woman was in charge. Change my mind.
All Ubisoft had to do was have a Japanese main character for the game that takes place in feudal Japan. But they couldn't help but shoehorn in a DEI black guy and repeatedly marked him as a real-life samurai. Based on zero historical evidence, now the whole nation is pissed off.
Exactly. The same day, Inverse had a tantrum, Ubisoft apologized at all. Yeah, because pissing off an entire nation, that's just good business.
Assassin's Creed developer didn't have to explain their game.
IGN walked back saying that Yasuke was a samurai, which, if you recall IGN, when they put out an article on just who is Yasuke, this is a huge step back for them. Here's the original version and the revised version. Oh my. And once again, on the same day. Of course, Alyssa Mercante did her article about this by calling everyone bigots, and then ranting about the Red Emperor. As usual, hard-hitting journalism from Kotaku. Well, hopefully you're all caught up now, because I'm not revising this video yet again. I don't care what happened. Thank you, and good night.